my name is Tabby, and I am from the University of Hawaii at Manoa Surfrider Foundation Student Club. Today I will be teaching you how to change policies on campus. So yeah, here we go. First, you obviously want to know where to start.
Step 1. Identify the problem.
Identifying your problem and your goals at the beginning will help you to solidify your intent and also ground yourself before you start with any efforts. So I would ask yourself a few questions. What are your students and faculty concerned about? What are the policies that you want to see changed on your campus? What are your long-term goals and what are the short-term goals to get there? For instance, for our club, we wanted to ban straws on campus. It was an easy way to reduce plastic pollution and gain a lot of support.
Step 2. Research.
So once you've identified your goal, now's the time to do the research. Once you've figured out all this information, it'll help you to be as effective and efficient as possible when organizing your efforts in the future. So the first thing that we did is that we went to other groups on campus or other people on campus who already knew about this issue or have tried to do something similar in the past. So we went to our student government, we had an Office of Sustainability on campus, we also just went to other members in the community who were either passionate about this or who had done this in the past, like I said. And this really helped us to get a solid understanding of how we needed to go about this and where we needed to get support. So the second most important step is to identify the stakeholders. Who exactly is going to be affected by this creation or change in policy? So for us, we wanted to ban straws on campus. This is obviously going to be affecting the restaurants who provide straws and also the students or consumers who enjoy the straws. By being able to identify who the stakeholders are, you can then see where they stand, whether or not they're in support or disagreement, and why. And lastly, figuring out your political process. How exactly do you go about changing policy or creating policy? Do you have to go through your student government? Do you have to have a meeting with your board of regents or with the chancellor? Figuring this out will obviously help you understand what exactly you need in order to reach your goal.
Step 3. Build your evidence and credibility.
These next two steps are arguably one of the most important steps in being able to successfully create change on your campus. First, you want to build support, and you can do this in a wide variety of ways. One great way is to educate the community. You can do this through tabling, hosting events or workshops, social media, outreach, etc. So what we did was we had these fact sheets describing the impact of plastic straws and why they were bad for our environment. Another thing you can do is get petitions going. This is an easy way to collect signatures and support from your students. So what we would do was we'd walk around with this sign with some information and ask students to sign in support of a plastic straw ban on campus. If there are other organizations or members on campus who agree with your cause, building a coalition or working alongside them can also be extremely beneficial by showing that there's a mass of people who want this to happen. You could also host a letter writing campaign to whoever is in charge of the decision. If it's your chancellor, you could host a letter writing campaign for everyone to write in support or submit testimony, etc., depending on how your campus works. There's also a wide variety of other ideas that would be equally as effective as a whole. The second thing you need to do is gather data or evidence. By having something objective, it'll help to strengthen your argument beyond just support from the campus community. And this can be done in a variety of ways. So for us, since our policy was waste management centered, we decided to do a waste audit. We got the information from our waste audit and used it not only to get support from campus, but also to let policymakers know how much waste we're producing and how much a ban on plastic straws would reduce waste on campus. Another thing that's important to mention is the cost of the policy. Is this going to bring an added cost to businesses or other stakeholders, to the campus? By being upfront with that, policymakers will understand exactly what the impacts of the policy is before rejecting it. Another great piece of information to include is whether other campuses have been able to implement a similar thing successfully. By showing this, you can show that this is totally plausible for your campus to do. And overall, just any sort of statistics or information that would be great for the policymaker to know up front before considering this change in policy would obviously be great to include and to do research on.
Step 4. Solidify your game plan.
So the next step is to figure out your game plan. I think that it's most useful to create some sort of pamphlet or handbook to be presenting to these policymakers. When you're creating this handbook, include your evidence, data, support, petitions, anything else that you did in the last step. By having all this information, you're able to give it upfront to the policymakers and they can refer to it throughout the process. Another part of your game plan is to also figure out who you need to talk to. make sure to set up an appointment with them and make sure to figure out what exactly your demands are and what your goals are, especially if they may not be as supportive of your policy or may be reluctant to change. You want to make sure that you have your backup plans. Once you've completed this whole game plan, you're able to move forward and you're ready for your meeting. Some general advice for the meeting and leading up to the meeting is to keep email correspondence and interactions official and polite. Make sure that you're thanking them for their time, but also urge them in the right direction. Another piece of advice is to always offer to work together to make this happen. Communication is key. If the meeting didn't go so well or they're reluctant, it's all good. Keep trying. Reflect on why it failed. Were there barriers or restrictions? Go back to the drawing board, reflect, and see how you can overcome these challenges. Overall, while this is an extremely simplified way to create change on campus, it's definitely a great guide and a great place to start. I wish you the best of luck. Remember that you might have challenges and speed bumps that you might have to overcome, but if you're really passionate about this and want to create positive change on your campus, you can absolutely make it happen. I wish you the best. Thanks.